We've also been joined by Assemblyman Felix Ortiz.
I will explain in a few minutes, but if you have any curiosity before I speak, turn to the DOE website and it will all be made clear. It's a special day in New York City. What? We're ready? Great.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be here. I would have asked all of you to wear your college something, but I'll explain why. Good morning, Ways and Means Chair Farrell, Finance Chair Young, Education Committee Chairs Nolan and Marcelino, New York City Education Subcommittee Chair Felder, and all the members of the Chair Assembly and State Senate here today. Thank you for this opportunity to testify on Governor Cuomo's proposed 2016-2017 executive budget. And I also want to say a special thanks to Commissioner Mary Ellen Alaya, who has been an unbelievable partner as we go forward, and it was a pleasure to listen to her testimony today. On behalf of our city's over 1 million public school students, I thank you for all your support, for all the great initiatives we have been able to accomplish in the past year. You are all partners in our work, whether it's the nearly 70,000 students now enrolled in free, full-day, high-quality pre-K, the creation of new and expanded dual language and transitional bilingual education programs, or the 22,000 middle and high school students now receiving arts education. We simply could not have done any of these things without you and your leadership. Today in New York City, we are celebrating College Awareness Day. As you can see, I have brought my undergraduate cap, and in many New York City public schools, teachers and administrators are wearing their college gear too. We want every student to know the hard work, determination, and skills it takes to be on the path to college and the workforce. In support of this goal, in order to lay this groundwork as early as possible, we started College Awareness Day. The idea to start the celebration highlighting the importance came after I went to visit a class of pre-K students and found that none of them knew what the word college meant. The aim of College Awareness Days is to embed the college conversation at every grade level in all our schools. It is important for students and families to understand that their dream of college is attainable and need not be compromised by financial considerations, geographical barriers, or any other obstacles. It is also important to recognize that college readiness is not simply an academic endeavor, but a social, emotional one. In addition to high-quality education, our students need confidence and drive to carry them towards their goals of attending and graduating from college. I'm the first in my family to graduate from college, and as my video that went citywide today also states, I had to work and raise 2 children while going to graduate school, so I'm very proud to say I actually have 4 degrees, but for many of our students, just simply understanding that this is attainable and it shouldn't be part of economics, what neighborhood you live in, or what family you come from. So all over the city, one school has the principal who must have graduated from Syracuse University. The entire school is wearing Syracuse University t-shirts and talking about what it means to go to college. A few months ago, speaking in front of hundreds of parents and educators, Mayor de Blasio laid out new reforms to achieve equity and excellence across all New York City public schools. These initiatives bolster the vision the mayor and I have of a school system that begins earlier to give students a solid foundation, makes rigorous and challenging courses the norm, ensures students master critical skills on time, and invest in a path to college or career for every New York City public school student. I would like to take this opportunity to share what our administration has accomplished for our students since the last time I had a chance to give testimony. With the $300 million the state invested last year, and I want to be clear that education is an investment. It is not money wasted. It is not money put in as charity. It means that you're putting money up front so we don't have to spend it later on in things that are negative to society. We were able to enroll a record 68,547 students in free, full-day, high-quality pre-K, nearly 50,000 more students that were enrolled before Mayor de Blasio took office. These students are now getting a crucial year of problem solving and vocabulary building that will put them on the path to long-term success. When I visit schools, I always ask to drop in on at least one pre-K, and I cannot tell you the pleasure I get from seeing students making independent decisions, talking to each other, and yes, making a little bit of noise. For too long, many of our classrooms have been totally silent, and in silence, no one learns. We know quality is the key to a successful expansion, and I am committed to ensuring that every pre-K program throughout the city continues to provide an important foundation for academic achievement. In order to ensure that every student has access to a high-quality program, the city assessed pre-K for all programs using two rigorous, research-based, nationally recognized tools: the Classroom Assessment Scoring System and the Early Childhood Environment Rating Scale. New York City's new program scores are on par with other nationally recognized model pre-K programs. Pre-K in New York City is not daycare. It's really laying the foundations of a strong educational path to college. Data released earlier this month showed a strong increase in our city's graduation rates and college readiness indicators, as well as a decrease in the dropout rate. Graduation rate was over 70% for the first time in the city's history. These gains are a testament to the hard work by New York City students and teachers and administrators who deliver high-quality instruction from the moment students enter pre-K to the day they graduate high school. I'm particularly pleased to see a decrease in the dropout rate across all ethnicities, critical progress, but there is still much more to be done. We will continue to be laser-focused on strengthening instruction, expanding opportunities for all students, and engaging families to ensure there's a clear path to college for a meaningful career for city students. Today, in addition to the teachers celebrating the colleges they graduated from and talking about how hard it was for many of them to get to college, we're having forums around the city for all parents to talk about their role in getting the students to college, financial assistance in getting to college, and also how to look at all the transcripts that your students bring so that many of our students are more aware of what they need to be able to be on that path. In order to provide every student in every school with critical tools to prepare students, in order to make New York City the best urban school district in the nation, the mayor and I have pledged to meet rigorous benchmarks. 80% of our students will graduate from high school on time, and 2/3 of them will be truly college ready. To meet these targets, Mayor de Blasio and I are committed to providing every student in every school with critical tools to prepare students for success in careers, from providing every student with computer science classes in elementary, middle, and high school, to ensuring that all students are reading in 2nd grade and are on track to take algebra by 9th grade. One of the tools that we're using in this particular area is to ensure that there's more advanced math programs available in 5th grades before these students even get into middle school, and that is really one of the things we're working on, particularly on the summer. The city is also redoubling its efforts around college readiness and access as part of the mayor's agenda for equity and access across all schools. College access for all, AP for all, and the new SAT school day. One of the things when I visited schools in the last few months is that I met with several high school students who had not taken the SATs. And I asked them why not. And it was very interesting, but many of the students said to me that because they were held on Saturdays, and many of them either had jobs or family responsibilities, they couldn't do it. And the other issue that came up was that many of them, the SAT courses were given in schools outside of the immediate neighborhoods. And knowing what I know about the geography in New York, sometimes you don't lead within a 10-block radius. So by having SAT during the school day, free for every student in New York City high schools, we're going to ensure that they all have that opportunity, but we'll also be able to access and assess who are the kids that we should be pushing further on a regular basis. So this is something that is really unique. This will be the first year coming forth. Through College Access for All, every student will have the resources. Through AP Day, we will also have the access to advanced placement courses. One of the things with the advanced placement courses that is unique, because so many of our high schools are co-located in big schools, and many of your Queens representatives know that. If you have 5 high schools in one building, they will all have different AP courses, but students can take courses in each other's schools within the co-located buildings. And we've already started moving in that direction and going to visit some of the schools. We expect experiments. Some of them already started, but we'll be doing a lot more of that. As part of our work to increase college readiness and access by meeting the whole needs of every student, New York City is committed to creating and sustaining community schools. Over the past 2 years, we have created and funded 130 new community schools. Community schools are customized to a community's unique set of needs, and they create opportunities available for students, families, and communities, including expanded learning time, school-based health clinics, mental health programs, dropout prevention strategies, parent engagement programs, and adult education opportunities. These sources are embedded during the school day as well as outside the school day. I'll give you an example of one of our community schools. Middle School in Harlem has 2 separate community-based organizations working with them. One of them works during the school day on social emotional needs. They are there with social workers, guidance counselors, and all kind of extra support for the students and the teachers. And another organization works on academic mentoring and tutoring based on the students' needs. So you have 2 separate CBOs working in the school all day. The same CBOs are monitoring student attendance, and before the summer ended, knocking on parents' doors and making sure that every child that was registered to come to that school actually showed up in September. And then they do the follow-up all year long. Parents are also asking for workshops on cooking, exercise, GED classes, more programs for themselves, and to the degree that those CBOs come to the table ready to do it, we're incorporating. Community schools simply means a whole community. You can't work with students without working with their family, faith-based organizations, and everyone else involved. 94 of these new community schools are in the school renewal program, a strong, clear commitment from the city to improve our most struggling schools. With an investment of $187 million in year 17, the city is providing targeted, tailoring supports to 94 of New York City's most struggling schools, including turning each school into a community school. These interventions have a strong focus on improving student attendance and demonstrated rigorous instruction. Under my leadership, the Department of Education has also rolled out many new initiatives, including streamlined accountability system to best support schools, which aligns the responsibility of supervising and supporting schools with superintendents. The reforms created clear lines of authority in our school system. Additionally, superintendents must now have at least 10 years of pedagogical experience, including at least 3 as a principal. I have 44 outstanding superintendents, and these superintendents know the names of every principals in their districts, the accountability structures that they must meet, and also are now working on making sure that the professional development of principals and assistant principals is tied into their needs. We in New York City are very proud of the fact that we have one of the most productive and really intelligent workforce, and without that, we can never move forward. New geographically based borough field support centers provide integrated supports to schools across a whole areas of instruction, operations, and student support services, including health resources and counseling, support to students with disability, and support to English language learners. Just last month, we provided a service that's going to be handled at the Borough Support Office, where parents can get translations on any issues 24/7, including, well, obviously including after 5 o'clock. You can pick up the phone and someone, a live person, not a machine, will help you with any kind of translation you need, and will be able to be available to you also on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's in the 10 major languages of New York City. A redoubled focus on parent engagement run by our new executive superintendent, Yolanda Torres. We believe in the importance of strong family community ties, and we've invested in training, providing increased professional development for parent coordinators, parent leaders, family support coordinators, and family leadership coordinators. I continue to do town hall meetings throughout the whole city, and by now I must have amassed at least 50 town hall meetings where parents actually ask questions and get answers on the spot, and if I don't have an answer, someone literally calls them on the phone within a week, and if I call them myself, they hang up because they really don't think it's a chance for calling, so I have to call a second time. So it's really me. Could you listen? A new investment of $23 million in arts education funding allowed us to hire 300 new arts teachers and resulted in 22,000 more students receiving arts education. Because I have been a big advocate of arts education all my life, many more private funders are coming to the table. And just so you know, and please don't be jealous on this one, the producers of Hamilton have given us 20,000 seats for 11th graders in New York City. We are filling the halls in Hamilton. Luis Miranda just came to speak to my staff, and one of the things that's also happening with money from Rockefeller Foundation, every student who comes has to be from a Title I school. They are going to have professional development done by Gil DeLerma, so they won't just come cold to see a performance, because I don't believe in one-shot deals. And they will have to read something on Hamilton. And any of you haven't seen Hamilton, do whatever you need to do it, because it is one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen. This week, actually, I was with the governor at a performance at a theater where the Arthur Miller Foundation, first time ever, gave us money to actually start theater arts programs in 15 new high schools. And part of that money is going to go to become experts on Arthur Miller's plays. And once again, Hamilton was outstanding in one way. Death of a Salesman, to me, is the quintessential play about the human condition. And to me, having that foundation work with our schools, and 15 of our high schools that did not have a theater arts program to have it, to me is pretty amazing. 40 new dual language programs and more being developed to give students the bilingual, bicultural skills they need to succeed, and a model dual language program that will foster collaborative practices among dual language educators, elevate the quality of programs across the city, and support guidance for staff invest in opening programs. We now have in New York City this year for the first time a Polish dual language program, Japanese dual language program. We have a program that's being advocated for German dual language. To me, if New York City doesn't understand the importance of two languages and multicultures, who else can? So for me, speaking two languages has been a blessing. I see it as a total asset, and I'd love to give that opportunity to every child in New York City. To share strong practices, we created two important programs, Learning Partners and Showcase Schools. Together, these two initiatives demonstrate a commitment to professional development and collaboration among educators and schools that foster student learning and student improvement. When I see schools excelling in a particular area, I want them to share their secrets, not hide them. For example, we will be hosting 17 superintendents from across the country to show them how to improve schools. And improving schools, to me, is not simplistic, but it can be simple. Looking for excellence wherever it exists, and having other people come and visit and ask questions. I went to a showcase school yesterday that is moving from being a Title I school to non-Title I, that is in the middle of gentrification, and having that principal explain to about 30 other principals in the room about how he did it, what struggles he had, and what you should be thinking about is much better than anyone publishing a book or a chapter and say, here, read this. Seeing the best of the best and then being able to ask those people questions is how you make change. Expansion of language access services through new field language access coordinators at the borough field offices to ensure that schools are providing parents with limited English proficiency access to translations and also translations at all our public meetings. And finally, I must have heard you. And finally, approximately 220 new athletic teams providing access to inter-school athletics to an additional 3,000 students, the majority for which are for small schools and girls' teams. Last week, Mayor de Blasio presented the fiscal 2017 preliminary budget that made targeted investments in our city's public schools, such as $868 million in capital to reduce school overcrowding, through 11,800 new seats, which would bring the total current capital plan to over 44,000 new seats. We're making a commitment in our fiscal year 17 budget that with any additional state aid, we will raise the fair student funding at all schools to at least 87% vision, both Ray and mine, ensuring a citywide average of 91%, which would be an unprecedented investment of $159 million in fiscal year 17 that will provide vital education resources to students in historically underfunded schools. Ensuring that every student has an equitable and excellent education is the very core of my vision of public education. I've seen our schools evolve over the years, and I know these are the right ingredients for transformative change. But none of these new initiatives would have been possible without your leadership and support. That said, I would be remiss if I did not address the state aid that New York City schools are owed from the 2006 settlement of the Campaign for Fiscal Equity. Since 2009, The state has not met the court-ordered obligation to our city campaign for fiscal equity. In this school year alone, New York City Public Schools would be shortchanged some $2 billion in state education funds. I am confident you will agree that it is time to make significant down payment on this obligation by fulfilling a commitment and making equity in education a priority. As I sit before you today, I am thinking of the message of College Awareness Day. College readiness starts in pre-K. It is up to us to provide these students with the opportunity not only to think about college, but to also envision themselves as college students who have successful futures. To that end, I ask for the full support of the state legislature for the continuation of mayoral control in New York City. I have seen firsthand the extraordinary difference mayoral control has made in our ability to move our system forward and put students on a path to college and the workforce. Having been an educator for 50 years, I have seen all kinds of systems come and go. I worked under school boards, worked under a regional superintendency, and I will tell you that bureaucracies do harm education. And being able to work hand in hand with a mayor whose philosophy I share and agree with has made it much easier to do the kind of work that we are able to do in New York City. It doesn't take going through channels. I mean, sometimes yes, but a lot of the times what we believe in goes forward. I would never have taken this job if I was not going to have a mayor who's going to have my back and I wasn't going to have his. And to me, that is a crucial part of mayoral control. Providing free, full-day, high-quality pre-K to every 4-year-old, creating aggressive turnaround plans for our struggling schools, and expanding community schools are just a few examples of reforms that were only possible because the mayor has direct responsibility. After more than a decade, we know New York cities do better when the mayor has direct authority and accountability. Our students can't go back to a system of patronage, of favorites, and of some places getting more than others. When I talk about equity, it's about the kids in the Bronx and the kids in Brooklyn, the kids in Park Slope and the kids in Harlem having access to the same professional development, the same excellent teachers, and the same excellent principals as everywhere else in the city. I look forward to working with the state legislature and the governor on the proposals outlined in the executive budget and stand prepared to do everything I can to help. We have laid the foundation. We are on the right path. We need your support to continue moving forward. I also want to say that to the degree we've learned some lessons in the last 2 years, we're also happy to share, and I invite anyone who wants to come and see some of the work we're doing. We've got a lot more to do, but we're very proud of what we've done. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. To begin, Assemblywoman Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Thank you, colleagues. I want to publicly thank Chancellor Farina for the work that she's done, and the wonderful testimony today was really comprehensive, and the breadth and the depth of the work you've done in 2 years. But I do want to say your work in going to every one of the community education councils multiple times at this point has really turned parental support for mayoral control in a very positive way, because people are seeing you and they're getting answers. As you said, there's not multiple layers as there were in the old school board days when you could never get a straight answer to a question. So your work and your commitment to traveling throughout the city has been really exemplary, and I wish I had your energy because you're always out. I've toured schools with you, and it's my favorite thing because you always get there so early, and you have that great way about you that everybody shapes up when they see the chancellors there. I do want to say, though, we'd like to get your thoughts on the community school model. We asked Commissioner Elia, has the money arrived? Is it, it has been subjected to some criticism that it's not going to improve academic achievement. I'd like you to perhaps respond to that criticism. And then just one other issue near and dear to my heart. I was a little disappointed not to see it. We have asked every year since I've chaired this committee, so your predecessors as well. There are over 10,000 children in our city who go to school in trailers, and they're substandard. There was recently a report issued about disability accessibility in the New York City schools. Well, none of the trailers are accessible, that's for sure. And I know that President Lorraine Grillo from School Construction Authority is not here today. We don't usually have her testify at this hearing. But and she knows that this is a priority for me and for many members from the city. So maybe you could just start with that and then talk a little bit about the community schools. And two other topics that I didn't see really addressed. CTE education is becoming very important here in the legislature, and a real recognition with some new committee members of work on that. And then adult ed, though it's not often understood, is really also in your purview, and we continually look at the issues of the GED and things like that. But we can always talk about that another time if we're not prepared to
absolutely.
today.
Happy to talk about all of them. You know, we just could put so much in a speech, but I'm really happy to answer them. The TCUs have been a big priority, and there is a tremendous amount of money in the budget to remove them. And we have actually started removing them. I think we removed at least 80 by now already, and we're in the process, 70, we're in the process.
Do you want to
of-
introduce the gentleman with you? Maybe he can.
Oh,
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
think-
this is Ray Orlando, our Chief Financial Officer.
Good afternoon,
Yes,
everyone.
There's a
He's the numbers
thankless,
guy.
another person with a thankless task. Maybe he wants to
Sorry
address
for
it, certainly.
the mask.
I think the TCUs is certainly something we're trying to do, but just as an example, when we remove TCUs, we've got to place those children somewhere. So, for example, in District 24, PS 19, which is one of the most overcrowded schools in the city, it was a matter of making sure we had community input as to where those students would go. So as we remove the TCUs, we're building an annex actually in that schoolyard. So we thought we had a solution, and the community thought differently. So it was a matter of getting everybody on board and deciding where we're going to be putting some of those children in the meanwhile. So we came up with a very good solution. The community's happy, we're happy. And I think that's part of when we remove TCUs, where do we put them? Where do the kids go? And if there's enough room in the school, like Richmond Hill was another one that we had to change minds based on community input. So it's going to happen. We are looking at it. We have one right now in Brooklyn that we have to remove the TCUs, but where the students go while we do that is one of the concerns. But the specific numbers on TCUs?
Sure. Since over the last 2 years, we've removed 70 TCUs and have plans to remove another 100. There's $450 million in the capital plan for removal of the TCUs, including planned $100 million from the Smart Schools Bond Act that you all had a role in. So thank you for that.
I'm glad you brought up this CTE. It is a passion of mine. I know it's a passion of yours, Kathy. We are increasing our CTEs, but the first thing we have to do, career and technology education, we have to make sure that the programs that we're increasing are really the careers of the future. We still have some programs that we're not preparing them for the day of today. So what we're trying to do, rather than create more CTE schools, create CTE programs within schools. I know Senator Montgomery, particularly interested in the maritime, and we've talked about it. It makes sense. New York City is an island surrounded by water. Why not more careers that will give us scuba divers, that will give us fishery? And so we're looking very carefully at what are the right careers. And now we have, as part of our showcase, CTE schools that we think are extraordinary. I just went to visit Hillcrest High School, and he actually has a need. He has one of the best nursing programs in that school, and yet, and we're going to need your help in this, we cannot get the licensing because there's a state legislative laws on who can teach, who's not a teacher. So if you're going to have nursing being taught by nurses and pharmacy being taught by pharmacists, we need certain changes. So we're going to come to you with help in that. I've discussed that extensively with Mary Ellen because I know this is a passion of hers as well. So a lot of it is what are the right career paths, where do we put them, and where do we get the teachers? The teachers are a big issue because they have to be, you know, if you're making millions of dollars as a computer scientist, do you want to come and work in the school level? Well, we have to make it attractive enough so they will. So yes, I do want to see more CT. I want to see programs within schools. We're also looking at CTE programs that will enhance programs such as Rikers Island. We're looking at incarcerated youth who can come back. If they have a career path they can follow, that this will make a lot more sense. So that's another place. One of the things you talked about was adult education. Adult education, I actually went to visit all the adult education centers in the city. Once again, the bulk of the adult education is about GED, ESL. They are asking for other programs, and we're looking to see, asking them what they want more of. We have an adult education superintendent who actually has classes throughout the city, but we're also looking to do a lot more of the adult programming district-wide and borough-wide through our parent coordinators. One of the interesting, I thought was interesting, demands that parents have, because we've asked parents, what do you want, rather than us assume we know. They want cooking classes, they want nutrition classes, they want Zumba classes, they want things that are going to improve their own health or their own ability to be parents. So we're trying to do that, and we're encouraging schools, particularly community schools, to do more of workshops of parents and things that they want. Community schools, I want to be very clear. there are certain things that are not negotiable in all community schools. All community schools must have extended learning time. They must all have an additional hour of academic learning with a wraparound of other services, such as health services, mental health services, clinics, things that will improve the health so that also attendance rises. The one thing that we see universal in all our renewal schools is attendance, that it has to improve, it has to get better. We need to have a culture. Going to school is important. So that's universal. What differs from school to school is that we've asked the schools to choose their partners. So RFPs went out, and you can choose to work with a Good Shepherd or Partnership for Children or Citizens Union or Children's Aid Society, but you had to interview to make sure that the CBO partner that you chose was one that would be complementary to your needs of your specific school. And you didn't have to have one partner all day. You could split it up. You could have two partners. And I think that's what we're actually evaluating now. And I know the UFT, the CSA, and I are working very closely on the community schools together. I know this weekend is going to be a retreat that the UFT is sponsoring. And it's all about how do we keep the energy high. We also have created in many of these schools what we call master principals, principals who have shown extraordinary work, so they in many cases will be working in 2 schools, and model teachers, because obviously a challenge in a community school, renewal schools in particular, is how do you recruit teachers? So we're looking for many ways to get the best teachers to come into these schools, and partially is by making teacher leaders, which get a little bit extra money, but also open their classrooms for other teachers to learn from. We also have in many of these schools new leaders, about 36 new leaders in our 94 community schools. So we are trying everything and anything, and the reality is we have committed to closures where necessary, very limited, this year only 3, and that's maybe it. Mergers and consolidations. Mergers means that if you have 2 schools in a building and they're under 100 students, which many of our schools are, if we bring them together, they can have more resources. So we're trying lots of different things. We certainly should know by June some of the things that are working. One school alone, the principal in the Bronx decided to departmentalize her 4th and 5th grade, which is something very unusual in elementary school, and she's showing results. So I sent people there to learn from her if that's something they may want to try. So part of it is innovating in different schools, what works, what doesn't work, so we can move it to another school.